Qualcomm, we invent...
You know, I was wondering whether those figures were going to stop punching each other
What figures?
in the wrestling match.
Oh.
They didn't do so. Welcome to Contributor Appreciation Sunday Soapbox.
Sunday.
You don't seem enthused.
I'm tired. You know, it's past my bedtime.
Welcome to Soapbox. Welcome to the Soapbox. I hope you guys... that's better. Let's try this one more time. Welcome to Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Soapbox.
Reset.
Exactly. Guys, welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamal Thomas. I am here with my lovely, beautiful wife, Mrs. Thomas. I marched, I chanted, I was at the protest today in Washington, D.C. So I went down to D.C. I drove my car to Silver Springs metro station, parked it, because I didn't necessarily want to get stuck in D.C. traffic, or if they would have blocked off.
Wait, you took the train in today?
Yeah, because I didn't want to take the chance of them blocking up the streets.
That was unsafe.
If anything happened, well, the subways was empty. I mean, the metro was empty. There was like little to nobody on the metro, so that was fine.
Hopefully, it was little to no germs on the metro.
Well, you have to be willing to brave something. There's things that are more important. Keep in mind, I am the person who, when they told me that my kidney failed back in 2007, I believe, they said, Mr. Thomas, your kidney's not working. We can't do anything in this case. This was a transplanted kidney. My doctor said, my doctor thought I was going back to Richmond to go get some level of treatment. I took an airplane flight to Amsterdam, got hammered, then went to Egypt for 3 weeks, crossed over the border into Israel, then crossing the border to Jordan, catching a flight. I guess my point is, danger is not necessarily something to think. I guess I have a huge...
Clearly.
Yeah. But I'm here, and that gives a certain degree of optimism for believing that you can kind of get from point A to point B.
If you brought any germs back in the house...
I tend to be rather sturdy with that stuff. I don't tend to be the sturdy one in this.
Oh, sturdy, yes.
Yes.
My brain was thinking something else.
No, sturdy,
Yeah.
yes.
I get sick more often than you do, which is kind of funny. Yeah, but
I
I guess what I'm saying is
if
if
there's
you
a
brought
quantity of illness that people had to get, I had all mine within the 20
I feel
to 30s.
you, but you could bring them in and give it to me, and my less sturdy immune system.
There are things that matter more
Than my life?
than my life.
But you just gave the germs to me and I died. So you gave my life for the cause.
You don't care for the cause?
I didn't
You don't
offer
care
my
for the
life.
cause?
I don't remember having that conversation.
It was pretty wild, actually. Dead tired. Was willing to give pint of sweat, pint of blood in case. My concern was that the cops, if anything had happened, that the cops would have tear gassed and blocked off the road.
And you couldn't get out.
Right. That was my concern. That's why I took the subway. You can always run away. You can do that. They would have me on camera with the cops trying to grab me. That type of stuff. I was willing to go there.
You were gonna run from the police?
Yeah. If I can get caught, I have a job. Gotta be here, Monday to do the news. But see, I can get on here and then report the fact that the cops chased me as the press and they didn't give a shit about me being the press. I have a shitload of videos that I want to show of the cops beating the shit out the press. There's an awesome one where Australian journalists is there covering it when Trump tries to clear the Rose Garden. When they make that command to clear the Rose Garden. And you have the Australian press, you have all of these other people from around the world who's watching this. And they're like, it's pretty tense. And then you see the order is given and the cops go running with their shields and they're like, oh my God, they're not. And the cop runs to the journalist and hits the cameraman. And the journalist from Australia says, oh, wow. They're shocked by this. They're shocked that these guys would just go maniac, just full maniac. They didn't give a shit if you were oppressed, didn't give a shit if you were black, white, gay, straight. They didn't care. Everybody was fair game. They wanted to make a point. Donald Trump was sitting in a bunker. They were calling Donald Trump bunker bitch because he was in the bunker as Washington, D.C. burned. It was fucking phenomenal.
Wait, when was this?
This was, Monday or Tuesday? It was after all of D.C., there are images from the sky where you could see the entire D.C. burning around the Washington Monument. Fucking phenomenal. Fucking phenomenal. It's righteous indignation. You've realized, think of it this way.
Uh-oh.
What I'm about to say is right.
I don't say that it's incorrect.
Most people don't think this way, but it is absolutely and entirely true. Both things that I'm about to say. One, when people are protesting and they're standing up for the wherever they're protesting, and you have cops that are confronting those people, the only thing those people really have to give is sweat and blood. That's it. If you're thinking about the civil rights movement, what did they do? They weren't fighting back. They weren't trying to smash the mechanism of the government with an army. No, they stood there and they forced the mechanisms of the state to over and over and over again. Meaning those people were going to get beat, hit, and everything else. And depending upon how strong their determination was and their persistence, they were going to still be there to take the beating again. The public has to watch this and ask, fuck, how long do we go along doing this? And at some point, the public says, it relents. They win the argument. Now, that sucks. But what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Are you going to take up arms and then try to smash the mechanisms of the state? You're not going to win. There are 50 states. And they're missiles, potbelly helicopters, all those things. And we may bitch about it in other countries, but they would use the same repressive mechanism here in the United States if it became an issue of, okay, we need to stop a rebellion.
Yeah.
So
some kind of revolution.
Right. So when those people are going to protest and those people are pissing the state off and they're using tear gas and everything else, what happened? That shit is on television. That shit is seen around the world. That looks so fucking bad. And so you have basically, what is the state gonna do to stop these people from behaving that way? They have to do something, right? Now, especially if those people keep coming out day after day after day after day after day, how long does the state allow such a thing to take place? Are they going to beat them down repressively, or are you going to pass some legislation to get those people out of the streets?
Yeah.
From the standpoint of the police, the entire point of the police is to maintain inequality. That's it. Now, when people are protesting the police and they're saying defund the police, yes. The problem is, if you have a society where you have massive amounts of inequality, those police are very necessary in order to keep order in that system. Because disorder breeds a certain amount of contempt. Meaning, if you have people who are contempt that this guy's a trillionaire and that other person is laying on the street, well, after a while, those people who are laying on the street are going to say, fuck that guy's a trillionaire. I'm going to go get that guy. So you need something to maintain order. So the rich has said, all right, if we're going to allow this much inequality, we're going to be able to take this much cash and expropriate this much wealth, we need to pay part of that wealth and give to poor people to police other poor people. That's the cops. That's the only reason they're there. When people are making this argument of defund the police and they're focusing on the police, what you're focusing on really is inequality. You're basically focusing on, look, there's a massive amount of inequality in the system that breeds a huge amount of contempt. This guy's poor. This guy doesn't have what he needs to make his ends meet. This guy, and look, there are other people who are managers of that system. Don't misunderstand me. Meaning, a certain amount of wealth have to be given to a certain amount of people for those people to say, okay, I'll accept this. But basically, the cops are there to maintain that level of disorder, that level of chaos.
Right.
If you think about it, when you're during slave times, if you're doing apartheid, if you're in any of these repressive governments, if you're in Germany, Nazi Germany, the cops will be there to maintain the order to allow the Jews to get taken away into camps. That's all they're there for. They're not good or bad or justice or anything like that. They're just there to maintain order. They're paid for that job. Now, the question becomes, well, if they're paid for that job, well, what do we need to do to get rid of them for this job? Well, two things. Economically, you need to get rid of the inequality. You have to deal with this issue of people living in ghettos. Fuck you have ghettos for? Think of as much wealth as you have in this country. This is not a situation where the individuals are lacking in some way. Give people jobs. Have those things available. You should have some level of rights for any person that is born in this country. Period. Nobody should be in poverty. Period. This is not a situation of something that you can't do. This is policies that have allowed this much inequality basically to be instantiated in your system. And then you throw in cops to do a job that cops can't do. You need to go and maintain order in a system that is fundamentally corrupt. And the cops said, okay. And they'll go to the street and they'll do their job, beating the shit out of Negroes. Now, they do kill whites also, but we're talking about, proportions. The issue is inequality. That's the issue. How do we get rid of poverty? And until they deal with that issue, the issue of the cops becomes, problematic. It's like, we need to reimagine policing. Okay, yes, you need to reimagine policing. But can you ask, why the fuck are they there in the first place? Like, people accept the system, the idea that cops are necessary part of your system. And maybe you need something to keep some level of order, but the question becomes, why do you have this much chaos? Why are people this angry? Why are this many people? Do you know how much energy it takes to leave the fucking house? To go in 90-degree weather to march for 2 hours or whatever? That's a lot of fucking energy, and people are doing it every day. That means there's something in them that have bothered them about this system so much that they said, fuck it, walked out the house. That needs to be accepted. I mean, think of it. From one individual, and you're talking about hundreds of thousands, millions of people. What is wrong with your system that is making people that angry? And that's not just because he was killed by a cop. I don't believe that for one moment. There is no way that all of these people across the world and across the United States are marching entirely for that one specific reason. I just don't buy that. There's something else. They're supplementing it. They're taking things that they recognize that are problematic with the system and jumping on the fastest thing running. Good. I just want them to get to, why are the cops there? Like, you can't make the argument to me that the cops are there because the state is racist. No. The cops are there because you have certain areas in your society that are dirt poor. And instead of dealing with the fact that they're dirt poor, we say, look, I give you $50,000 to make sure that motherfucker leaves me alone. So you basically have police criminalizing stuff for the poor. How often are the cops going after the rich?
Yeah.
I mean, for fuck's sake, that's what we're talking about. We're dealing with inequality. The thing that bothered me at the protests was that was off the table. That didn't seem to be understood.
Part of the conversation?
Wasn't even part of the conversation. Like the guy who was giving a speech, his speech was like, I'm teaching my daughter how to, load a weapon, or I'm teaching my kid how to load a weapon or something. And I'm like, ugh, bad speech. Because the thought is, so what? You're saying you're going to murder a cop? That, if the cop pulls you over? A, I don't believe that. B,
I don't think that's what you should be teaching your kids is.
Yeah, I don't think that's where you're going. Look, if you're trying to have a society that is less chaotic, I mean, think about it for a moment. If you think about half of the society is in poverty, that's fucking insane. The United States is the richest country on the planet. Obama gave 95% of the income gains to the top 1%. Start there. Trump is going to best that. Joe Biden would have bested that.
Yeah.
All of them people would have bested that. I guess my point to you is, if 95% of the income gains is going to the top 1%, 5% is left for 99% of the population. Now, you tell me, if you have that many people trying to get that much spoils, you're not going to have any chaos in the system where everybody is dog eat dog and everybody get whatever they need to get, fuck everybody else. All of those values that you learn from your parents and everything else, all of those things always run up against a system that basically forces you to do whatever you can to get by. I got bills to pay. I have a wife. I have a kid to feed. I have a car. Then it becomes, okay, what do you do to pay for all those things? Some people do things that are productive. However, you have just as much incentive to do things that aren't. And if it becomes the things that aren't productive is the way that I can get by, you're going to do it. You got to get by. I mean, we have a screwed up society, that's all. And the value set is so way off, where making profit trumps everything else. Until that's dealt with, cops are just part of the equation. Even if you say, okay, we're going to find a new way to do policing in our society. Yeah, but why do you need those fucking cops? What's the thing that's creating that level of chaos in your society? And this doesn't do with black or white or otherwise. I'm just saying, if you create a system of poverty within your society, and again, that's not God-given. That's policy that allows this. Because you don't have to have this in your society. If you have something like that, then cops almost just becomes this kind of natural thing of, okay, we need to protect the rich somehow. We need to ensure that the system stays what it is. Yes, there'll be problems, but the cops will beat the shit out of people.
Wait. Speaking of system.
Yes.
I'm not going to be here all fucking night.
Okay.
Are you finished with your monologue?
Yes, I'm finished with my monologue. That was my only bitch piece from the march. I just thought, I really wanted them to hit that point of just, why are the police there in the first place? It's not the police are there because they're racist.
Right.
It's, no, the police may be racist, don't misunderstand me, but those are individuals. I'm talking about the way policing is done. It incentivizes that behavior to some degree, especially when you take accountability off the table.
Yeah.
I care more about stopping a situation where the police is even necessary. And I think the point of that is get rid of the inequality in your system that creates the consternation of people where they are pissed off that they have so little and other people have so much. And they realize this is unfair, even if they can't necessarily articulate why. All right, so let's start. I've been giving my
formal notice.
My
get on task.
Yes.
Get on task. All right, so we are here tonight for contributor appreciation. Once a week, we do a.
I was letting you do your spill. I was going to interrupt.
I don't think you know. I don't think you know how not to or what that means.
I didn't say anything. You said something to me, to which I responded.
Pointing at my, I don't know something. Okay, we are here for contributor appreciation. We try to do this once a week, where we put a post up on the Patreon platform and ask for patrons to give their topic suggestions. And we use that content to fuel today's show. Yes. If you are not familiar with what Patreon is, it is a platform that allows you to contribute to someone who is creating content. So you're watching Jamal's channel and you say, hey, I want to make sure that YouTube doesn't fuck him over with taking away his monies and all the other good stuff. So I'm going to give him $1 a month, $5 a month, or whatever it is, and you commit to that contribution monthly. So thank you for everyone who contributes through Patreon, Streamlabs, Super Chat, PayPal, and all the engagement that always goes on in the chat. And if you are not giving monetarily, still thank you for all of your support. Make sure that you are subscribed. And if you enjoy the content, give a video a thumbs up. Make sure that you hit the bell notification icon so that you can get the notifications when he's doing a video. And tune in every weekday 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern for Political Misfits, which is streamed live here on
and
this channel.
That's right.
Right here. We got
105.5?
105.5 FM here in the DC area. So I accidentally muted somebody. I apologize. I was hitting the button too quickly. If you it was just a 30-second. No, I didn't ban them because I can like unban. I don't know what I did, but I was trying. I don't know what I did, and it muted somebody for 30 seconds. So I apologize for that. But if you're not aware, I'm looking at my phone because I am monitoring the chats just to kind of pick up what you guys are saying. If there's ever a comment that you want to be sure that we discuss and I point out, then maybe do a super chat, and that way it'll stand out. But we've got a little under 200 people here, so if you're enjoying the show so far, make sure you give it a thumbs up. It helps YouTube's algorithm let more people know that we are live. Thank you for the first super chat, Garden Gnome.
I was going to ask you about the first patron, the question.
You want me to go to the first one?
Yeah, what's Garden Gnome's thing?
Garden Gnome didn't have surprisingly,
he didn't have anything to say. I'll give sometimes they give the Vulcan.
That's Wesley that does
Wesley,
that.
yeah.
I haven't seen Wesley on, but we do have another super chat from Marcus the Villain. Says, glad you made it back home safe, Jamal. Good to see you weren't a victim of maximum justice.
Maximum justice!
What
I
is
can
that
dispense
from?
maximum. That's me. I made that. That's my own quote.
You said maximum justice?
Well, I must have
seen that.
Well, I make the point that cops at any moment on a hair trigger can dispense maximum justice.
You sound like a narrator in a super
well, that's what it is. It's so dramatic
flick.
that these guys I saw there's a video where a cop pulls the guy over and the cop says, "Let me see your wallet." The guy reaches over to get his wallet. The cop says, the guy says, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" He says, "You reach. You told me to get my wallet." Now they fired that guy. But the question becomes, what the fuck is that guy doing on the job in general? That's maximum justice. He was willing to murder that guy when that guy reached over into his car. Either he was so terrified, or he's so black. I don't know. Oh my God! Maximum justice! Just out of the blue. Like they're on this hair trigger.
I need a nap. We need to go to the next.
They're on a hair trigger when a moment they will flip out and attack you. Officer Baloney, the one that was in Philadelphia. They got, where they were trying to. Baloney went out in the crowd with a baton and just like swinging it. He was just going. Baloney charged that guy with assault. Now the prosecutor let the guy off when he saw the video. Have you seen the video? Oh, you have to see the video. All right, I have to find you that video.
What do we have? Because we got topics to
get what's the topic? Okay. What's the topic? I'll find Officer Baloney.
Cheese and rice. All right,
that
let's
video
get
is
to
awesome. He hit that guy in the head. You can even hear it. It's like,
now, stop saying that this police brutality is awesome. I understand what you're saying.
I said the video was
but
awesome.
But it sounds like you're saying, oh,
it
God,
that was
off. Awesome.
No, that video got the guy off. The prosecutor dropped the charges when he saw the video. That's why I'm saying that video was awesome. Okay. Because Baloney...
Sound like you're saying it's awesome the police are...
No, fuck no. It's awesome they're on video doing it.
Okay.
That's what's awesome. Because if they were doing it by themselves, they would charge those people with assault. He's like, that guy bled on me. Charge him with assault. And that's all that'll be in the record. He assaulted Officer Baloney.
Garden Gnome told me to watch out for you because you almost smacked me in the face.
I'm sorry. I'm hyped up. I'm excited.
Clearly. I was asleep 30 minutes ago.
I look at what's taking place around the world. And if you're a lefty, you should be in revelation. I mean, think about what's taking place. All of these people have basically said the political system doesn't work. And they said, we're going into the streets. No, we don't have a demand yet. We're just angry. But that's where you start. You start with a certain degree of passion and recognizing something's wrong. They may not be able to articulate in the words, something's wrong. And the thing that they need to point to is, what are your wages? Most people don't have $500 in the bank. Is that an issue of policy or is that an issue of God? That's not an issue of God. That's an issue of policy. Your society can be any way you want. There's no, God telling you how your world should be. There's all of these things are right and wrong and whatnot. A person saying, I have $1 trillion and I earned this Did you really earn it? How do you earn $1 trillion? And if you can, quote unquote, earn $1 trillion in a system like this, maybe the system shouldn't do that. The system wasn't created by God. The right and wrong and all of this nonsense in association with how much somebody earns or whatnot, those things are issues of policy. Your society decides that. Whether it implicitly gives away any notion of agency in it, or whether it accepts it. It's being decided like that. Jeff Bezos is supposed to get $1 trillion by 2026. Think about that. Think of how disgusting that is. One man. And then you think of how much money that allows for control and everything else. A small amount of people in your society has expropriated that much wealth and that many resources. And then they would say, we earn this. Maybe something is wrong with the measures of your society when it allows anybody to achieve that much wealth. Hell, I would go so far as to say $1 million. Now, most people would be like, oh, God, that's disgusting. I would say get rid of the cash in the first place. People would say, how do you have a world like that? Now, that's where I am. But by the same token, I don't entirely go there because people be like, dude, that's too far. So you make incremental changes. That incremental change to me is smashed the way the system is basically created. The capitalistic system is the root of your issue.
All right, let me read these comments and then we'll get to the first topic.
I'm sorry. I'm excited. I just like all of these people being agitated and...
I understand. No, stop. Because
angry.
you apologize for going on a rant and taking it to another rant.
I'm not going to rant, I promise. They're angry, but it's not... How can I say this? It's different. It feels different. Many of the people who were there, white, Asian, black, it wasn't just the black thing. People were, they were playing NWA, fuck the police. But beyond that, fuck the police, friend said it with authority.
Okay, all right. Birdman23 said the revolution was co-opted. Corporations are pushing this angle before it was around socioeconomics.
They're trying to.
Emblemed Fate, thank you for the super chat, says, we have to focus on showing our power, support the Green Party, the movement for People's Party. FDR feared the Socialist Party, make the Dems scared. All right, let's go to...
The problem is Trump. He's so uniquely gross that Biden is going to stumble into the White House regardless. Trump, he's unacceptable. Like, it's hard to get it across. Like, it's one thing if say for the moment, these protests took place and Donald Trump said, you know what, maybe something's about this. The problem is his ego got smashed the day the White House went up in flames. Donald Trump has built a barrier around the White House. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah.
He has built more miles of barrier around the White House than he has on the border wall. He thought that people were coming to get him. Donald Trump is terrified.
Why.
He is sitting in a fucking bunker while Washington, D.C. went up in flames. So his response was full of ego. Teach these fucking people. And he sent those cops out there in order to bash those people intentionally to show I am still in charge of this particular situation. And then he upped it another ante of I'm going to put military on the United States soil, not to get a little black girl into school. No, I'm going to get it to dominate the streets. And you think
that was random. Do you want to show how that's the reference?
What do you mean? Where he said that? When he was in the Rose Garden?
Put a little black girl to school. Because we
back
were
in the
watching
60s.
The James Baldwin movie. Yeah. I mean, the show on
I am
Netflix.
Not your Negro.
All right. Let's go to the first.
I'm just saying he's
don't just say. Okay,
he's losing.
We're gonna go to the first topic now.
Go ahead.
This one is from Bernard Jackson, and again, thank you for everybody who submitted a topic suggestion on the Patreon platform. Bernard Jackson says, "Hey Jamal, hopefully when you do your show, your wife is on here.
She's here.
I love that dynamic, but can you talk more about Dr. Cornel West pretty much going on a tear with facts?"
Cornel West is fucking awesome. He's been so. Let me find one of his videos. I have him on my list. But go ahead. Let's go to the next one.
What the hell? I thought. Okay.
Let me go back to it.
All right. Sean Lancaster said, "Will Sam Cedar vote for Joe Biden?
Yes.
Even if Biden shoots him in the leg?"
He would. Yes. Biden could slap his wife.
Sam Cedar's wife?
Sam Cedar's wife. And Sam Cedar would still vote for him.
That's commitment.
Biden could take a dump on his lawn. Wait.
Would you vote?
Looking Sam Cedar in the eye while he does it. Sam Cedar will still.
Would you vote for? Wait.
dispose of it, and then go and vote for Joe Biden.
Wait. Would you vote for Bernie if he slapped me?
No. I'd beat the shit out of Sanders if he slapped you.
I'd
beat the shit out of him, but I'd vote for him. But justice was dispensed with me beating the shit out of him. The voting for him is something separate. That's a politics thing.
Somebody said, who is Sam Cedar? All right, we have President Jafar said, did you see Mayor Frey have to do the walk of shame when Black Lives Matter crowd put him on the spot for defunding the police? I am glad you mentioned that because I have that video right here. And that was going to be one of my topics. You jumped in front of me, so... I'm reading the comments. Great. Also, that person that I muted said that they unsubscribed. I hope they're joking, because it really was an accident. Like, I hope you're not going to unsubscribe just because I don't even know what the comment was.
All right. So,
oh my God, what are we watching?
He looks like John Kennedy to me, right there.
Okay.
That's a really good look. I got to be honest. I was impressed by the look. I don't give any legitimacy to what's taking place. I think this is theater. But I was greatly impressed by the look. He looks like a Kennedy. This is Mayor Frey crying at George Floyd's funeral. Weeping. Not crying, weeping. Yes. All right. Now, I'm slightly a dick about this. I don't like men crying in public.
I know, now, just because you have no emotion.
There's no right or wrong to it. So don't misunderstand me. I don't take it as an absolute cosmic wrong. It's not that.
Okay.
I'm just slightly bothered by it. It looks slightly weak to me. But, look, I give you an example. My dad came to the house one day. And he comes in and he says, Boo, I'm really sorry. And he breaks down and starts crying. I don't know how to deal with this.
Because you don't have emotion.
I leave because I took it as a BS thing.
Okay.
I leave and I go out to my mom. He's in there fucking crying. My mom starts laughing and I'm like...
So she don't have emotion either? No, your mom
No, my mom has... That's my point. That's my point. We didn't take it as real. I don't know if he was crying for real. If he was, God bless him. If he wasn't, that is amazing theater. He looks great doing it. Like I say, he looks like a Kennedy. He's like crying in his mask. All right, now he goes out and talks to the crowd. You're probably going to have to cut the hell out of this video. He goes out and talks to the crowd.
Tilo Brown said, if Frey is not sincere, then he put on a hell of an act.
He's put on a hell of an act. That's an amazing show. So Frey comes to the crowd, and the crowd is telling him, defund the police. Now, Frey looks like a little child here. I shit you not.
Wait, you just said he looked like a Kennedy.
This is him here, though.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
He looks like a child. All right,
listen. You have to take responsibility here. I've been coming to grips with my own brokenness in this situation, my own failures, my own shortcomings, and I know there needs to be deep-seated structural reform in terms of how the department operates. The systemically racist system needs to be revamped. The police union needs to be put in its place. We need to make sure that everything from the union contract to the way that the arbitration functions to the way that our officers and the culture in the department behaves.
Jacob Fry, we have a yes or no question for you. Hey! This up, y'all. This up. Jacob Fry, we have a yes or no question for you. Yes or no, will you commit to defunding Minneapolis Police Department? What did I say? We don't want no more police. Is that clear? We don't want people with guns toting around in our community, shooting us down. You have an answer? It is a yes or a no. It is a yes or a no. Will you defund the Minneapolis Police Department? All right, be quiet, y'all. Be quiet, because it's important that we actually hear this. It's important that we hear this, because if y'all don't know, he's up for re-election next year. If y'all don't know, he's up for re-election next year. And if he says no, guess what the fuck we gonna do next year? What'd you say?
I do not support the full abolition of police.
All right, get the fuck out of here. Go, get out of here. Go home, Jacob, go home. Go home, Jacob, go home. Go home, Jacob, go home. Go home, Jacob, go home.
And from there, he did the walk of shame.
I feel bad for that man.
I feel bad for that man, too. She shouldn't have said, get the fuck out of here. That was wrong. He's there. He's contrite. He seems to legitimately want to do something. And she's like, do you want to defund the police, yay or nay? And he says, no. Now, here's the catch. You cannot defund the police without getting rid of poverty. Understand what I'm saying. In some communities, okay, maybe, but what does that look like when you have emergencies? That means you're going to have to change it into something else.
How do we get rid of the police altogether?
That's what I want to know. Like,
and what takes the place of it? Like,
because
what
for
does
him-
that process look like?
Because he has no fucking clue what the other process looks like. Like, if you tell him, say for the moment, you have a society, like a community that's a crime-ridden community. Those communities are out there. Those communities are not typically Beverly Hills type communities. Those communities tend to be poorer and whatnot. And somebody says, okay, we're not going to have police. But what does that mean? When I was in Kenya, I know they have different tactics in regards to trying to find ways to get around the policing thing. Sometimes increasing social workers, sometimes increasing mental health workers. But, you know, there's some grimy shit that cops, regarding to how human beings engage with oneself, need to do, especially in really shitty areas. And the catch becomes, how do you make those areas not shitty? Like, people who talk about defunding the police, they have plans and ideas in regards to what that means. The mayor has no idea. So for him, asking him this that's a non-starter. He can't make the argument of, yes, I'm going to defund the police when he has no fucking clue what that looks like on the other side of it.
Yeah.
I think it's unfair for them to do that.
Somebody said he shouldn't have gone into the middle of that rally in the first place.
No. That wasn't the wrong thing. You should go into that rally. I mean, from his standpoint, as a white person, he has white guilt, and he's in a public position where his officers have just murdered somebody in a ghastly way. So ghastly that millions of people all around the world are basically running out of their houses and taking whatever issue they have with their state and putting it up on display. That started with him, his officers. So what is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to hide? No. He goes to that funeral. He's contrite. He weeps like a Kennedy in full suit. And he goes out into a crowd of angry African Americans and says, I want to make a difference. And they say, you didn't follow our one specific demand, so get the fuck out of here. Are you fucking kidding me? He's there. He's contrite. He's there like, I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to make this right. We got to do something about these fucking cops. We got to cow the thing. But if you're telling him, I have only one demand, are you going to get rid of him? He can't say yes to that. No mayor would ever say yes to that. I don't care how lefty they are. They can't say yes to that because they have no fucking clue what's on the other side of that. Now, it's one thing, even if you say, look, we need to reform or reshape the way we do criminal justice. He can say yes to that because that means that's nebulous. But defund the police is answer. Very specific. You got to get him cover to make that answer. Like, you want that guy to say yes. You want that guy to back you. That guy is there in the middle of a crowd of tens of thousands of people. And you shame him when he's trying to make a difference? No, that is not right. That's not right. That's not right. 1,000 times, that's not right.
Okay, that's not me.
Yeah, that's not right. I mean, I can agree with you that cops are maniacs. I can agree with you that the amount of authority that cops are given is way over top, especially from the standpoint of accountability when they take that off the table, meaning you incentivize them to behave that way the moment that you say, okay, anything that you do, we're going to give you a free pass on. I even agree with, if we can create a system where that's something else, that's not the way that they go and operate, where it's maximum justice at any moment, or this kind of escalating at all times type stuff. That should not be a part of our society in any situation. Now, The problem is your society creates people also that are maniacs at times. And because it creates people who are maniacs, or it creates people who will do whatever it takes to be in charge. Gangs, criminal organizations, those things actually do get perpetuated in a system where you are incentivized to get as much as you possibly can. And if there's nothing in that system to prevent those people from doing that, they're going to do it. Meaning they're going to take advantage of a system, a capitalistic system. Yeah. So the question becomes, how do you stop that within the context of a capitalistic system that incentivizes criminalistic behavior? It just does. And so it's like that mayor doesn't have an answer for that, because there is no answer for that outside of, especially for him in a political spot. How is he going to say, yes, I'm going to defund the police? And then people are going to be like, you're going to get rid of the cops? And so you're going to have all these middle class people who are like, they're going to like, ugh. Trump right now is putting the thing says Democrats are trying to get rid of cops. That doesn't play. That doesn't play. I'm telling you, that doesn't play. It's not that it's wrong. It's that people don't know what the fuck it means. Now, there are people who can explain it. The guy we had on the other day, Vitaly, the way it's like, some areas that are, let's say, crime-ridden, they were talking about like making community things within the context of the society, meaning bringing up that community where the crime thing can't live in that community because it's a tight-knit web of a community. Sometimes you're having picnics in the area, sometimes you're doing things, but you're basically growing that spot to make that spot somewhere that crime can't necessarily be because the people are tight in the community.
Yeah.
And that's good, but that's also kind of missing the point. It's like, the goal of it is, why is that community that way? And it's like, yeah, I get you're putting more people there, you're trying to prevent the crime from being there, but is that crime going to move to somewhere else? It's kind of like, we need to get rid of guns because people are murdering people with guns. It's like, yeah, but why are people doing that? They can do that with a knife. They say, yeah, but they can't kill as many people. But you're not curious about why he's want to do that in the first place?
Yeah, let's get to the root of the issue.
Nobody ever does that. The guy's standing in front of the judge, and the judge says, you're an animal, and throws the guy in jail. And the question never becomes, why did that guy become an animal?
Yeah, what made him do it?
That's the Black Panther thing, right? Where I asked my mom, I was like, what's his name wrong? The Killmonger. And she was like, well, yeah, he was wrong. I was like, but was it his choice? And she was like, of course it was his choice. I said, but when? When was it choice? When he saw his dad get murdered? When the system to which he operated in gave him accolades for the number of people that he murdered? Meaning, the more people he killed, man, you're awesome, here's another medal. All of that stuff lined up into the standpoint of, he was just, a pinko chip. He has certain things within him. Yes, that's true. But those things were always interacting with this kind of system that gave him affirmation for bad things. Yeah. And now he gets to the point of dealing with Black Panther. And Black Panther made the most prescient thing ever. He said, if you only would have taken that fucking kid, meaning you shouldn't have left him there. Like, this kid is basically the thing that you left coming back to haunt you. This is the seed that you've sown, per se. It's not necessarily right or wrong. It's the universe balancing itself out from what you did. It's like, yeah, Killmonger did have something in him, yes, but all of those incentives and drives seem to have pushed him in a particular direction that he went.
Your mom said stop talking about her. All right, we have a super chat. Ruth P. said, list all good cops who were fired or worse for doing the right thing. Let their stories be known. Then make those who are willing to become the leaders of the policing revolution be that. They earn my trust.
Part of it is they need to explain what it means to get rid of the police. I mean, that sometimes the left takes arguments that they think are really, really good, but doesn't play out in real terms. Like the Green New Deal. The Green New Deal was a good one. I like that. But defund the police is...
Yeah, Gardner says it's not a real conversation.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I don't know how you get rid of police and still have real crime. Like, I'm telling you, there are streets that are unsafe to go on in Richmond, Virginia. Washington, D.C., believe it or not, is crime-ridden. Yes, you have the White House, and then, 1 or 2 blocks,
lots
you could be
of stuff
shot.
Going on.
Yes. Like, the number of murders in D.C. are pretty high.
All right, so while we're talking about the protests, Michael Williams had a question. He says, along with the protests, isn't it time to publicly shame almost to the point of verbal harassment. Our politicians in the streets, as they walk to their car, into restaurants, at their homes, yes, their homes, they have a certain smug privilege once you get into the office, and there is no consequence or accountability for lack of action, and negative action have impact life and death situations of people. We march on the White House, the president's crib for the most part. Time for everyone else to get marched on, basically. So what are your thoughts on that? Expand protesting.
So I love that. All right. I look at it this way. What we consider to be our society, like the way people organize, the jobs we go to, churches and all that stuff, the government, none of that stuff is real. I mean, we have like this idea of it in our head, but that idea in our head is just because we can, as human beings, think of imaginary things. The government is an imaginary thing. It feels real. You have all the mechanisms and everything else, but that's because people pretty much just organize around the thought. We organize so much around that thought that we allow people to be in various positions that also aren't necessarily real and make certain decisions that have consequences that are disastrous. Whether it's, all right, I'm going to go and steal the oil in Syria, and then you kill thousands of people. He just said a command, he just pressed the button, a lot of people died from that. And we accept that as, well, he just did his job.
Yeah.
You have other situations where, again, Obama could be in office, give 95% of the income to the top 1%, and we accept that. The homeowners go bust. We accept that. Well, Obama just did X or Y. Your governor, your senator, these people make certain decisions, and those decisions have disastrous consequences, and we just accept that. Now, the question becomes, at which point do you stop accepting that? Now, making sure and just making the point that that shit's not real, the consequences of their actions are real, well, people think it's weird to go outside of the frame of reference of government and go directly to those people and saying, you fucked up! You're doing bad things! Now, they say, that's impolite. Impolite why? That person was doing a job, yes, but that job had disastrous consequences on other people's lives. George Bush killed 1 million fucking people. And right now, George Bush is being rehabilitated by liberals who want to go after Trump and thinking that a warmonger and giving him some kind of accolades is some way of pivot towards Trump.
Yeah.
They're fucking insane. No, like, George Bush should never, under any circumstances, be able to go anywhere without being heckled. I'm sorry. He has earned infinitely more from the number of people that George Bush has killed. Not just in Iraqis, also Americans, also people in Syria and everything else. Because now that we're in those countries, that's a direct result of him and those wars. There have been no consequences to George Bush. A person threw a shoe at him and they locked that guy up. I mean, for fuck's sake. When people do bad things, at a certain point, we must realize that those people, the system to which they were doing those bad things is a thought thing. The thing that they were doing has real world consequences to the individuals in our society. I have no issue with people being heckled. Zero.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is, where does that start and where does that end? And you get into this weird subjective space where people think they can heckle for the tiniest of reasons. And they think their reasons are infinitely great, that type of stuff.
Louise Brooks said, yes, shame them everywhere, then vote them out.
Vote them out, indeed.
But that is one thing that I did like from the video, because she said, all right, let's hear what he got to say, because he's up for re-election. Those are the conversations that need to be had. I love that. I did like that part.
But the problem is, in your system, you don't have another choice. That's the problem. When those people are on the streets, what they realize is, I don't get a choice. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party agree on economics. They agree on war. They agree on Wall Street. They agree on, corporations are the greatest thing on the planet. Corporations are people too, my friend. Both of them would agree with that. And then so you're now saying, all right, go vote. For who? The guy who created the fucking crime bill, that the structure of our criminal justice system that is killing people on the streets? Or the lunatic that's going to put military on home soil? Which person do I vote for? Which person? And then they're like, least worst. Yeah, fuck that. I'm done with that. That's a no. And this is, when you're stuck with that, Bernie Sanders was the compromise. That's what it boils down to. Sanders was a compromise. Those people who are out there protesting, I'll guarantee you, they are making the argument that, are you willing to fight for somebody in the way you're willing to fight for yourself? I would wager that whites, trans, gay, all that,
Yeah.
Many of those people are out there under that one line of solidarity. The catch becomes, will this take on broader concerns? And the answer needs to be yes. It has to be yes, because you can't sustain a protest on this notion of a black man got killed. It has to be more. Those people who are sublimating their desires and infusing them into this, those people must expand what this is also to their needs. Meaning the problem is you don't want it to be co-opted by Democrats that's going to kill it. You don't want it to be co-opted by anything else. You want it to be what it is. And you want those people to make a demand. But the demand has to be something like, we want these items because these items are beneficial to our community. Hell, I don't give a shit even if they say reparations. I am on the point of saying, hey, maybe this is the time for that particular conversation. Usually I'm against that conversation. But if you're going to make this a black thing, which it seems like a lot of this is, well, the economic conversation may come through the reparations conversation. I guess my thing is make a demand. You have the public's attention. What do you want? Now, the problem, I think, is kind of like Occupy Wall Street. It's so organic. There's no leader.
Yeah.
It's just kind of this kind of free flow of human beings that are just, angry against the system.
Need a direction.
Yeah. I am, God, man, I'm so excited about that.
All right, we got more topics to get through.
Go for it. Did I answer that? That was, I think I answered that. The heckling thing.
Yes, verbal harassment or...
I don't want anybody to be harmed. I don't want anybody to be injured.
No, just verbal.
But I do think at a certain point, yes. I mean, I don't know that threshold. The problem is, again, it gets so subjective that everybody becomes a target.
Right. All right, hold on. We got some more.
Because I'm not a big fan of people harassing people at their protests either. Like at their thing. I think they did him wrong, though. Honestly, I think they did him wrong. I think they made a massive mistake. He was there. He was open. And you basically spit in his face and then had thousands of people shame him as he walked by. Look, I don't know what he's done as a mayor, but this notion of here's my one standard, and that like for instance, if I say Medicare for all, 88% of Democrats agree with me.
Right.
I am pretty firm setting of saying you have no excuse of accepting this as my standard since everybody else agrees that this should be a standard. But his defund the police thing, that just seems, from his standpoint, that is going to be extreme. If that guy is a Democrat, that's an extreme policy for him to go on.
I don't see how he can say yes to that.
Correct. Because you have, 70%
there?
of whites in the country. And if you tell that's 70% of whites, how do you feel about defunding the country? The whites are the people with the most cash. They're going to say, you've lost your fucking mind. I need those cops to keep those Negroes from taking my stuff. They're trying to take my cup of coffee. They're not going to agree with you on that because they don't know what that is.
Right.
You can't ask him that. Like, you can't ask him, this is my one extreme standard. At least to him, it's considered extreme. He has no idea what that means. If you say, look, we need to reform the police, he could say yes. If you say we need to fundamentally change how the police, yes. Defund is
get rid
very
of them.
specific.
She said we don't want police in our streets.
Right. We don't want that. And he can't say yes to that. So I think that's unfair. That's me. But, you may disagree with me on that. Somebody can even, try to take the piss out of me if you want.
Louise Brooks said, do you think people worry that bringing in economics now will allow the conversation to shift from racism?
But they're intertwined. I think that's my point. I don't know what you do with legislation on racism. Like, what do you pass? I mean, like, if we're making the argument and saying racism is the thing that is used by cops, like, I don't know what they want. I think that's the problem for me. Cops are fucking insane. I think they're maniacs. I am terrified when I am dealing with a cop because I know at any moment he can dispense maximum justice over anything. It doesn't matter what it is. I annoy him. And then he's going to say, Mr. Thomas, hit me. And then they're going to show a video of me doing something like this, where my finger just absolute touch will become, get your hands on me! And I'm like, whoa! When I was talking to that guy who was there for Bo, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, this guy could fucking flip out over this dog. Because I see it, you could see it. You can deal with it when these guys are being assholes to you with this thought of, I could be any way I want in this situation because I have authority and fuck this person.
Yeah.
When you're in the airports and you're dealing with the TSA agents, same thing. I was coming back from, it wasn't Ecuador, it was Panama. And they treated me like I was a drug mule. And then the guy was being a complete dick to me with one guy playing good cop, bad cop. And they're like taking your shit out of the bag and whatnot. And he's like, what is this diarrhea medication? It's diarrhea medication.
Do you have diarrhea medication to have drugs in your butt?
Yeah, it's that. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, dude, just go through the bag, man. And let me get the fuck out of here. Like,
that is
it is so aggravating.
The power hungry. You get a little bit of power and you're like,
you're just a dick to be a dick. And that's my experience with cops. Every cop. And it's not me being a dick to the cop. For fuck's sake, I'm not a dick to anybody. But it's like, that's the way they behave. It's like, there's no thing of, I'm trying to understand what the person is telling me. I'm just being a dick. I must assert authority here. And then, at any moment after assert authority, it's going to be, I'm going to put my hands on you, tase you, beat you. Yeah. And then I'm going to have my knee on your face and say, stop resisting.
Something you were reporting the other day that said somebody got tased in the face or something?
Yeah. And I can show you videos where the guy got hit in the eye with like that metal rubber bullet. Those things, they call them rubber bullets.
Those things are humongous.
Those things are basically metal projectiles with rubber around them. Those things, look, if you're a lefty, you want the mechanisms of the state to take away the items to which restrain the public. That shit should not be allowed. And that tear gas is a chemical agent that they are basically dousing on other human beings. Again, why is your society angry? That needs to be addressed. Your government has gotten to the point where it says, fuck all. We don't even care. But that affirms why they're out there. Now, those people need to realize that. Down? Yeah, I'm about to show that one.
Yeah.
Because that's
Let me read this.
Because
that's making me uncomfortable. You keep playing that over and over again. Ruth P., thank you for the super chat, and everybody who has donated or given a super chat so far. Make sure if you are enjoying the show, give the video a thumbs up. Again, this is contributor appreciation. We still are just a little under 200 people here. Thumbs up gives opportunity for more people to see that we are streaming live. So if you're enjoying the content, give a thumbs up. Ruth P., thank you for the super chat, says, not saying dismantle cops. I'm saying good cops could be the leaders in charge of revolutionizing current cops.
Yeah, I don't know what a good cop is.
That's what I was going to say. Who's going to determine, like, what are the guidelines to determine a good cop? And she did say something, I believe, like, like ones who have shown, like their track record.
I try to, look, if any of us that are pissed off at the way cops engage the public were cops, we would act the same way. Now, you got to think about that for a moment.
Say that again?
If any of us who are pissed off at cops were cops, we would act the same way as they're acting now.
It's the culture. It's like the cop culture.
It's a cop culture, but it's also think about it for the moment. You have a job in order to take people who are criminals and put those people in prison. And you think to yourself, okay, which side can I get this done easier? You could do it on one side of town that doesn't have the money for lawyers, that doesn't have the money to defend themselves, where maybe they're out there selling something because they need to make ends meet, and so you can kind of get... You have a certain criminalization of a certain area that you just focus on. And you, in those relationships, are entirely the one with power. You can put them in prison, you can lock them up, you can make their lives miserable, you can keep stopping them to fucking around with them. Like, you have so much power in that situation. Just having a thing on, just a camera on to see what you're doing doesn't necessarily... Like, that... If 70% of human beings would act a particular way in a particular system, something's wrong with your system. And that needs to be fixed. Like, because at that point, that's not a human thing. That's not a bad apple thing. That's how this is organized is making these people do this. Like, it's not so much that the individual is just entirely horrible, even though that person might be actually horrible, but it doesn't necessarily lend itself to having the greatest of people. I don't know how you fix that, honestly. Yeah. And I was looking at some of the articles, and they were like, people who said prison reform or cop reform is nonsense. Yeah. It was like, it's a non-go. It was like, it doesn't work. Like, you can't put these guys in class and say, all right, we're going to have you have sensitivity training for 30 minutes. It doesn't do it. And I don't know what does. In fact, I don't even know, like, how do you stop that cop from being racist? Let's say the cop's not racist. He may just be terrified on his job. Like, oh.
I think it's just, it seems like there's just the mentality of a complete, yes, racism in some instances, but even outside of racism, just the mentality of, I can do whatever the fuck I want to you because I'm in a position of power.
And we'll get off. 99%.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just a reflexive, physical response to things that they encounter. Yeah. A violent response, a response that shows that they have no regard for other people's safety.
It's authority.
Like, you know what I mean?
That's what it is. It's this guy is ignoring my authority.
Right.
Like, think of the guy I was talking to, the dog guy. The moment that I tried to explain something, what did he flipped the fuck out.
Yeah, he didn't want to hear
He didn't want to hear shit. He was like, okay, this guy said, I was like, dude, I didn't say that. And then my mom was like, boo!
Don't she just say stop fucking talking about her?
Yeah.
She just said stop talking about her. All right, Mike, whose voice is that? Stop trying to do people's voices.
Her thing is the same issue as mine. That guy is going to flip out and murder my son. That's where it came from. I mean, there's a problem in your society when you have a section of your society that looks at cops and say, oh my God, these guys are maniacs. And there's this, pervasive fear in dealing with these guys. Something is wrong. Like, but I don't want... The economic conversation has to take place because you have to get to the point of why the fuck are those cops there? Because those cops will tell you we're necessary. We're the thin blue line. We're the guys that keep society in order. But why is your society in that much disorder? Does it possibly have to do with the inequity in your society that has created a certain righteous indignation within the people that these guys want to kind of say, that's not fair? And then the moment you need a system to keep that in place and these guys are the line for that? No, I think it really does need to get to a broader economic concern. Because think about what that means when it hit economics. It also means that you're bringing in 50% of your population that says, hey, you might have a point. You bring in, 40 million people that don't have a fucking job right now that says, yeah, you guys got a point. It widens the conversation. I don't know how that conversation needs to take place, but Lord knows. You have 40 million people who are out of work. That is tinder for massive flame. And, I don't know what percentage of those people are black. A large percentage are. You have a 3-to-1 from the standpoint of black dealing with coronavirus. Those, you need to ask the question of why. Like, that's not... Bless you.
Thank you, excuse me.
That's not because the virus is racist. You know what I mean? Like, the coronavirus is not racist. And some people could say, well, yes, it is because it's killing blacks at 3-to-1 of whites. No. That's not racism. That's something else. What is that? Why is that the case? And it gets to this notion of inequality. Like, there's some people who live in really shitty situations. There's some people who eat insufficient foods. There's some people, like, those things matter and those things affect your community. But they affect your community more so because your community is poorer in regard. Do you realize the average African American making, I think it's 40,000. The average white was like 180,000, like 108,000, twice as much. When you get into wealth, I think the average wealth for blacks was like 8,000. Average wealth for whites was over 100,000. Think about that. That means one segment of your society is dirt poor in comparison to the other. Yeah. And the question becomes why. And you have vestiges of slavery that come all the way back to now. They have redlining, Jim Crow up. They were stopping people from going to certain jobs and living in certain areas all the way up to like the 60s and the 70s. And then they were like, well, you people need to be up by your own bootstraps. Well, is that really a fair conversation? Are you really honest regarding your history if you're saying that to me? But people would say, well, look, I've made this wealth on my own, missing the fact that they had all sorts of advantages associated with it. I guess my point is there needs to be a reckoning about that stuff. And that stuff goes to this thing of cash, inequality. It gets to this root of fucking thing of inequality. You're dying 3-to-1 because you are in poor conditions that allow you to be weaker or put you on the front line of that particular virus. But that's an inequality issue. Yes, it's showing up as race. When Eric Garner is killed on the street, that's an inequality issue. Yes, it's showing up as race. But inequality is always hiding behind that. The fact that the cop is even fucking with him. The fact that he's on the street. All of that stuff is inequality. even though it's being pictured in the sense of race. Inequality has to be part and parcel to the issue because that drags in that 40 million people that don't have a job, and it drags in the other people who have jobs that they fucking hate, and they're looking for something better in the system.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Garden Gnome says a lot of cops have PTSD, so sometimes
Yes.
you aren't even dealing with someone in their right mind.
Yes.
So take that into consideration too. Michael Easterwood, thank you for the super chat, says, what if we cut the number? Okay, this isn't me.
Go for it.
YouTube keeps popping this thing up. When I click, no, don't do that. I need to see the comments. This is why people keep getting blocked and put in timeout and shit, because I did something and that popped up, and so when I tried to scroll, it blocked somebody. So if I've blocked you, it's not intentional. If I can unblock somebody, but I can't stop them from being whatever. YouTube's doing weird shit. I just don't want people to be like, because you know some people be like, oh,
she blocked me.
I'm being
persecuted.
Not persecuted. I can't think of the word. I need a nap.
Michael
Michael Easterwood said, what if we cut the number of laws the police had to enforce by half or even 3/4 in the war on drugs?
That's right.
And RICO, which are mostly non-violent crimes.
You know, it's funny. One of the guys said, well, if we get rid of the law against marijuana, we won't be able to use that as an excuse to get into people's cars.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah. He's like, well, we need that excuse. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And it's like, what? You're putting people in jail for that? Like, they're not strolling through Beverly Hills like the white folks on pipe. This is kind of the thing the point that I'm kind of making with, like, there are certain neighborhoods that are impoverished. And those neighborhoods are ripe for the picking for cops.
Yeah.
And the question becomes, well, if you make them not impoverished, well, then the question becomes, how do you do that?
Yeah.
And that's a more
bigger
honest conversation. Right.
Yeah.
But that's what they're fucking fighting for. They may not realize that, but that's what they're fighting for. Okay. Yes, they're fighting for people not to be racist. That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay. Fred says cop training is no longer protect and serve. It's you'll be in a war zone and you won't make it home if you hesitate.
Right.
It's a completely different mindset.
Maximum justice.
Steve Jacobs says to serve and protect is a sad joke.
It is.
Bob Ramirez says seeing the inequality in The Expanse.
Yes. Remember, we watched the first season. Bob is the one who keeps telling us about it. We watched the first season. What are you talking about? Yeah, we watched the first season of it. If I'm not mistaken, we even got to the second season. Expanse is not bad. It's so dark. Maybe that's the word we're looking for. That's a dystopian future to me. Maybe I'm so infused with Star Trek that I look at that and be like, oh God, I don't think Earth would make it to that point under that model. Like, can you imagine? Like, what did this planet look like in 100 years going the way we're going? They're still doing oil. None of that stuff matters. It's capitalism in the sense our political system is getting worse. Think about the presidents that we've had. Donald Trump is your president. He's a clown. He was in a wrestling match several years ago. I mean, the guy failed at everything that he put himself in every business that he was in. He's one of the dumbest people on the planet. That man is your president. And, African Americans look at that with a certain degree of anger, by the way. Because it makes it look like the black president who had to be a Harvard scholar, who had to get A's, who had to be able to, articulate, smart, extremely good politically, is followed up by a white guy who is a stupid fucking idiot who could barely get words out and is comically, I don't think Donald Trump does any of this stuff. I think people just tell him what to say and what to do. I guess my point is, if you're an African American, you're looking like, motherfucker, are you fucking kidding me? It's almost like a mockery of Obama's presidency. But to some degree, Obama earned it, right? I mean, it has nothing to do with Obama being black. At least I don't think entirely. It has to do with a certain degree of failure. Hope and change. Feeling that hope and change. What does it mean? Who knows?
Can I do this next topic? Because I'm heading out soon.
Well, I was going to do the one thing, but go for it next. What's the next topic?
Well, this is a long one.
Let me see. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a long one. What's in the next one? No, it's a little too long.
Well, the response might be quick.
If Biden is looking more like statistical favorite, would his VP choice destroy that? What is that?
Michael Williams said, if Biden is looking more like the statistical favorite,
Yes.
would his VP choice destroy that
Nope.
when he picks his centrist running mate?
Nope. It's not going to matter.
Okay.
Joe Biden can walk outside, pee on his lawn by accident, thinking he's in the bathroom, and Joe Biden would win the next presidency.
All right, just really quick.
And by the way, Sam Cedar would vote for him.
Still.
He would pee. Joe Biden could pee in Sam Cedar's cereal. Sam Cedar can
Okay,
eat it,
I don't-
annoyed by it, and will still go and vote for that one Joe Biden.
Okay, wait. I'm
just trying to tell
all
you.
right, Maggie Smith. I'm not going to read all of
Sam
hers.
Cedar is.
I'm just going to read the question portion of Maggie's comment, the topic that she submitted.
She named our show.
She said, are these protests going to be co-opted? You talked
Yes.
about that a little bit already.
They're trying to be.
She says, are we going to continue to be told how and when we are allowed to connect with another human being? She's talking about COVID took away our most important asset, our connection to each other on a physical
Not
and
anymore.
emotional level.
Not anymore.
But I think the answer to that is no. Are we going to continue to be told how and when we can connect with another human being?
That choice
I think the answer to that is no.
entirely up to us, Maggie, at this point. I look, a few things should be clear to people at this point. Your economy is not made by trillionaires and billionaires. Your economy is entirely made by you and your fucking labor. Like, when you stop working, they stop making cash and everything stops. And if that is not obvious at this point, the very question should be, well, wait a minute. Why is that guy a trillionaire if he is entirely dependent upon our labor to make that work? And shouldn't we share more in the spoils if he is indeed going to be a trillionaire? That's obscene. Your argument and your question really should be, why on earth are these people billionaires in our system?
Yeah.
And should there be billionaires at all?
Let's
Especially-
look at how the system is set up.
Right, and you've had protests all over the world. So, if, from the standpoint of human connectivity,
Demonstrations are planned across the U.S. on Sunday, spilling into smaller communities and marking nearly 2 weeks of protests since the death of George Floyd at the hands of a Minneapolis police officer.
I guess the answer is no. People have been connecting all over.
Yeah.
And I would wager that the protests today and yesterday were larger than they were the previous week.
Yeah.
Trump declared war on the American public. The American public is responding and telling Trump to go fuck himself. All right,
All right, wait. I'm going to leave, but I want to do my spiel one more time.
okay, I'm gonna let me show this before you leave.
Please don't make me watch that video again.
I'm sorry.
Okay, there's something else.
Okay, all right. Talking about police reform. How are we gonna reform the cops? So, the other day, this took place. You guys have seen this video, but I'm gonna show it one more time.
Unfortunately, it's rough to watch.
It is rough to watch, but it'll be quick. It's been playing the entire time, and then all of a sudden, now I'm trying to play it. Now it stops. All right, here we go.
He is wicked! He's out of his ear. He's bleeding out of his ear. He's bleeding out of his ear. Get him medic. What the fuck you walking up on me? I'm moving down.
It's just absolute chaos. And there's a tear gas guy ready to spray tear gas. Eventually, a medic goes over to assist him. Now, the two cops that were involved in this, Torglasaki, these guys.
That guy on the left looks like a dick. The first cat, he looks like a dick.
The first guy is Robert McCabe. The second guy is Aaron Torglasaki. Those are the two brutes that pushed that guy. Those guys have been charged with assault. They've been charged with assault. Now, as they were being charged,
as they left the courthouse.
Now, as you know, the 57 officers that were a part of the squad that goes in and pushes people away to the crowd, that squad, I can't think of the exact name of it, but it's like a response team. 57 resigned. Now, they didn't resign entirely from the police force. They resigned from that unit. As those two guys who pushed down the 75-year-old man that nearly died, the man is still in the hospital in stable condition, but is in rough waters. This is what the team did as they walked out after they were charged with assault.
This just in the last hour, 2 police officers were charged with felony assault during a protest in Buffalo, and they were applauded by their colleagues as they left the courthouse.
They were applauded. Heroes! Heroes!
For slamming that man to the ground and almost killing him.
Heroes. They were applauded for their heroism. They treated you poorly. They treated you poorly. You shoved a 75-year-old man to the ground. That man hit his head.
And then they had no fucking concern.
And bled.
And they walked by.
And when the report was filed, meaning what they told the press, they said, 5th person arrested in the protests, 1 man tripped and fell. They lied. They lied. After that man fell, they lied. Now, my point is very basic. Do you honestly believe that if that wasn't on video, that trip and fell wouldn't have just been the way that this event was explained? And this would have been put in the report as tripped and fell. And just like they lied here, this is what takes place all over the United States. That's not fucking magic. That's not something that only happens once. You are incentivized to behave that way if you're involved in an altercation. Why wouldn't you behave that way? Why would you write something in a report that's going to condemn yourself if you have the authority to do that? And very little chance that anybody's even going to look. 99% of shootings result in no charges on the officer. And that doesn't even get into the bad behavior of the officers around the country that would just lie. I can show you other instances where they just outright lied. Officer Baloney. I'm charging your ass with assault. After beating the shit out of the guy. Yeah, they were applauded as heroes. Magnificent bastards. Heroes. Isn't that fucking awesome?
Yeah, that one. That's why I said stop playing that. Because that clip was playing over and over again.
It's like, you're treated wrong, Torgalosaki. You're treated wrong.
That is not that cat's name.
What's that guy? Aaron Torgalosaki.
I don't think that's what it
The first guy's name was McCabe. The second guy's name was Torgalosaki.
I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation.
I can open that back up. We can make a bet on it.
Open it back up. Go ahead.
All right. So this...
Wait. I have a super chat.
Oh, go ahead.
Eric DeSegno says James Baldwin explains the riots of 68.
Yes.
He gives a YouTube link. We watched I Am Not Your Negro. Well, I kind of fell asleep. I'm so tired. We watched that on Netflix. It was really good, though.
I love Baldwin. If any of you gets the opportunity, listen to his speeches. His speeches are so good. His Oxford debate is epic. That was the first time I ever had seen Baldwin. I think this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And he was debating, God, I can't think of his name, Buckley. I think it was Buckley. And they were asking him something about the American Negro. And I remember he started this argument, and I'm like, where the fuck is he going with this? And as he gets to his point, the other parts kind of fell into place. It was like, wow, who is this guy? I was blown away by that debate. And I started binge watching everything else that he did in regards to lectures and everything else. He is fucking phenomenal. He has one of these lectures on what it means to be an artist. And he goes into this this thing of the responsibility of an artist in order to, when he produces his work, and like the point and the purpose. And he gives this almost euphoric level of responsibility on it. It's so good. It's like, it was one of my favorite things where I've saved and I've binge listened to it over and over again. But no, man, Baldwin the way he thinks is phenomenal, honestly. I've seen him in a debate with Malcolm X. He won that debate.
Oh, they're talking about James Baldwin. Somebody said which Baldwin?
Yeah, James Baldwin.
I don't know if you're trying to be funny, like Alec Baldwin.
Oh, no.
We saw him in a movie the other
day. A horrible movie.
That was not him.
I think that was...
It was not. It was not. It was like a Baldwin brother. Cousin or
yeah,
some shit.
Like a Baldwin brother.
It wasn't Alec Baldwin. All right. I think I'm finishing.
All right, let's do this one real quick.
Wait, let me just say my piece and then you finish.
Go ahead. This was fucking hilarious.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so this
if you want me here for this one, go ahead.
All right.
Are they in Texas?
So Representative Engel is running against the lefty. I think the guy's name is Jamal Bowman, and this guy is the president of something. He is, let's see, Juan what's his last? Oh, Ruben Diaz. Ruben Diaz. All right, he's Ruben Diaz. All right, so Ruben Diaz is speaking, and listen to what Engel says. This is hilarious.
Then I gotta then go down the list, and it's just too many folks here.
If I didn't have a primary, I wouldn't care.
Say that again?
If I didn't have a primary, I wouldn't care. You know,
Don't do that to me. We're not gonna do this. We're not gonna put then I gotta.
he said, if I had a primary, I wouldn't care. If I had a primary, I wouldn't care.
Oh. I couldn't make out he was saying with that damn mask on.
No, the beauty of it is the response, though. The guy he responded is like, "Don't do that to me." he said, "Don't do that to me." It's so awkward. It's so awkward. He's like, "Let me get to the mic. Let me get to the mic. If I didn't have a primary, I wouldn't care. If I didn't have a primary, I wouldn't care. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me." That's so epic. So Engel had to explain himself. He's like, "Look, I care for the community. I care for these issues. I care. I just wanted to make that known. It just looks so bad."
Yeah.
So Engel is on one of the Sunday morning talk shows. So listen to what Engel says. He goes after AOC. AOC has endorsed his opposition. Now, the Democratic Party has made, basically has, what is it called? Sanctioned any lefty that is running against a Democrat, meaning if they're trying to unseat an incumbent, they're basically threatening organizations that say, we will not work with you. They did this on the Senate side and the Democrat side. Now, Engel doesn't like the fact that AOC has endorsed his opponent. Listen to what he says.
A dictatorship, this is the democracy. We shouldn't have one person from high, even though she's a colleague of mine, think that she can anoint whoever is elected to Congress. That's not what democracy is all about. So I'm tried and true. I've been there. I've worked hard. I've done things for people. As I said to people, 2-year term, I asked for a renewal of my contract for another 2 years. This is not a dictatorship. This is the democracy. We shouldn't have one person from high, even though she's a colleague of mine, think that she can anoint whoever is elected to Congress.
That is an astonishing statement. That's astonishing. Oh, on so many levels, First point, AOC giving an endorsement. It's not an anointment.
That's not democracy.
It's an anointment.
It's not democracy.
It's an anointment. What the fuck does that mean? He says she's on a high. She's just your colleague. Both of you guys are in the House of Representatives. What are you talking about? He's like, she can't just anoint somebody. The Democratic Party, I have videos where the guy is being told by Steny Hoyer to get out the race. We've chosen who is going to be the person for this way. Are you fucking kidding me? This is not anointment. AOC giving endorsement is an anointment. Look,
it's giving AOC
kudos to AOC.
Yeah, it's giving AOC a lot of power.
That's right. She
is anointing people.
He's terrified. You don't say that unless you're terrified. If you didn't give a shit, you would just be like, look, I appreciate my colleague AOC.
He just said he's terrified because it's time for primaries.
He's terrified. He thinks that guy can take his seat. AOC took, Crowley's took his seat. Crowley had been there for like 20-something years.
Yeah.
This dinosaur has been there for 20-something years too. Well, 16 years, I think. But he had been in Congress or something like that. But that's a terrified man. You don't say, this is not a dictatorship. You can't anoint somebody for this on high.
Democracy.
What are you talking about?
Isn't this the same thing that happens every day? What am I missing?
The Democratic Party does it all the time. What are you talking about? Anointment. Get out of here.
Steven said, I dubbed thee.
Right. That's
all right.
insane.
Okay, so we haven't hit 200. Does everybody hit the like button? If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to hit the like button. I just did now. Just one more time before I leave and you can finish the show, but I just wanted to remind everybody that this is contributor appreciation. Once a week, we take the topic suggestions that are posted on the Patreon platform and we use those to fuel today's content. So if you are a patron on the Patreon platform, make sure that you log in and submit your topic suggestions. There's usually a post that goes up that you can put your comment on, and that's what I read from today. But you can also always send it in to the email that's in the description box below, or you can send a message on the Patreon platform. But just thank you for everybody who contributes to the channel and gives Jamal so much support. And for all the likes, the shares, the subscriptions, and the good conversations that you guys typically have here on the channel. So
I've been here.
I am gone. You guys have a good night, and I'll see you guys in the chat tomorrow. I'll be working at 5 a.m., so I'm going to go to bed. So,
That's
good night.
Germany. I've been there. They're on the subway.
Okay, bye.
Or their metro, whatever you want to call it. Look at all of those people. Like, how, like, I see
Literally,
that, and I think to
I
myself,
was leaving.
George Floyd? Like, where, I guess I don't understand entirely the connection if it's not being supplemented from something else. Like, there's something else tying those people in. Yeah, I mean, I just don't, like, it almost felt like they jumped on the fastest thing running. And everything that bothered them, bugged them about their system, their society, are basically the same things to some degree that bother us about ours. Like, every country has their experience in regards to what they're trying to work themselves out of. Some of those things are more draconian than others, right? But, you know, I don't buy, I mean, these guys have health care. They have unions to back them up in that sense.
Still got angers. That's Germany.
And there's still something.
Show it again
there.
so I can leave, because I'm leaving.
All right.
Good night. Good night, peeps.
Good night, babe. Love you. Thank you.
Ooh, what did I hit? Oh. Okay, bye. Sorry. Good night.
All right, we're making a transition.
You finish.
I'm going to finish this
Read all
up.
super chats. Be nice to people.
I'm going to be nice to people. All that good stuff.
Y'all be nice too. Bye.
But this is Berlin. Yeah, man, that's so wild. I am hardened by these protests. I have to be honest with you. I don't know where this is going to go. It feels like it's trying to be co-opted. I hope it's not going to be co-opted. But yeah, that's Berlin. Yeah, that's exactly, that's Berlin. So, you know, Trump was bragging about, Trump did something the other day that I thought was disgusting. He was basically making a mockery of Floyd being killed. At least that's the way I took it. I don't know how else you would take it. I mean, Trump, in order for him to invoke Floyd while he's talking about a dodgy job report, the connection, you know, is gross, especially coming out of his mouth when he is not going to do anything to ameliorate the concerns of that public. He's only going to make it worse. Not to mention, talking about putting military on home soil is hyperbolic to the extreme. And yet, if you are looking for the beginnings of a civil war, or if you're looking for American troops basically treating American citizens like they treat people abroad, that will be your president. And yeah, I do think that will be the beginnings of a civil war. Because you're going to have people who are going to balk at shooting basically their own countrymen. At least I think they are. In which case, all hell breaks loose. But let's hear Donald Trump get asked the question on basically a piece that he bragged about that he's not going to want to basically answer.
We've had a great morning. This is just the beginning. It's going to be incredible. I'm going to sign our very important piece of legislation. Again, thank you very much to the Democrats. And then we're going to have a couple of words by a few of the people standing alongside of me. I want to thank them so much. And we'll talk to you soon. I'd like to sign this bill. This is a very different thing. And by the way, what's happened to our country and what you now see, it's been happening, is the greatest thing that can happen for race relations, for the African American community, for the Asian American, for the Hispanic American community, for women, for everything.
What's your plan?
Because our country is so strong, and that's what my plan is. We're going to have the strongest economy in the world. We almost are there now. We had the strongest economy anywhere in the world, and now we're going to have an economy that's even stronger.
Sir, how would a better economy?
I'd like to sign this.
Yeah, just to follow up, how would a better economy have protected George Floyd? Sure, I'll ask after. Will you take questions after, sir?
Black unemployment went up by 0.1%. Asian American unemployment went up by 0.5%. How is that a victory?
You are something.
How is that a victory?
Thank you very much.
It's not a victory. You can't answer that question. You can't answer that question because Donald Trump doesn't have a plan. I'm telling you, Donald Trump is going to lose this next election. I know some people are thinking Trump. I'm not buying it. He is so over the top bad. Like, he has failed miserably in regards to the COVID-19 thing, in regards to the way the public perceives his actions. He's failed in regards to the protests. Unless something happens during those debates, it looks bad. It looks really bad. But we'll see. I could be wrong. Trump might shock the shit out of all of us and do something mind-blowing. Let's see. I think I got everyone, but it's looking weird. It looks like I see something. Yeah, at this point, Biden is right and right to the right. Biden doesn't have to do shit. Trump is doing it all for him. And, you know, that's the sad part. It's not even a choice. This is why that notion of people saying, go vote. Vote for who? Who do they want you to vote for? And it's like, well, Biden, right? Well, but that guy created the crime bill. Why should I give him credit? Not to mention he's not doing shit for my vote. And the problem is, Trump is so horrible, so fucking over the top bad, and so comically incompetent that Joe Biden doesn't have to do anything. Like, the notion of I'm going to hold my vote doesn't really apply because you have so many other people that are so freaked out by Trump. And so Biden just has to stand there. That's it. Biden pee out of his house window. The press could catch him doing it, and Joe Biden could still potentially win the presidential election. That's how fucked up the U.S. politics or political system is. That's not a choice. Like, the notion of these people being in the streets, that's why they're in the streets. For that specific reason. Like, what they wanted. For example, the majority of the public says, we want Medicare for all. Even the majority of the Democratic Party, we want Medicare for all. 88% say it. Nancy Pelosi says, no, we'll give you Cobra. Joe Biden said, I will fucking veto it, even if you sent it to me. If by some magical device you got it through the House and the Senate, I, as president, will veto it. The public, who unanimously almost says, we want Medicare for all, what are they to do? What are they to do? The political system is entirely supposed to be there to get the public the things that the public needs. And the political party, ideally, would do what the people of that particular party want. And you have 88% of the party saying, we want this, and the leadership of the party saying, go fuck yourself. Where are they to go? Where are they to go? Are those people supposed to go to Joe Biden? Or are those people just supposed to go to Trump? Neither meets their needs. And that is the majority, overwhelmingly so, of your party. By the way, many of those people are only in your party because they don't want the other people in office. The majority, I would make the argument of. Meaning those people who are more to the left, who fall in line with Democrats because they're terrified of Republicans. Those people have never got what they wanted for like 40 fucking years. They were just so terrified. They just stayed in the Democratic Party. The question becomes, where do they go? I hope you understand my point. When both of the political parties in your country that represents basically your political system have nobody that meets the needs of the public, where does the public go? Now, the political system is not a real thing. The public is. Those people, when they make the decision, our political system no longer gives us what we want and what we need, and those people said, we are no longer dealing with this from the political level. We are going into the streets and we're going to make a shitload of noise until our political system regards us fairly. Well, they have no choice but to do that. People kept saying Bernie Sanders is the compromise. And people laughed at that. Whatever. We're going to choose Joe Biden and you're going to vote for Joe Biden anyway. And your savior Sanders is going to tell you to vote for him. And people were like, yeah, fuck that. And then Trump said, I am going to put military on home soil. And people were like, ugh, take the dick. I'll take the dick. I'll take the dick. That's where they're at. I'll take the dick. I saw Cal say basically they might end up voting for Biden. Now, I can't blame him for that. In fact, I don't blame anybody for their vote. Believe it or not. People vote for who they vote for whatever reason they vote for. It's not always a winning the argument thing, right? I mean, some people have certain biases that go beyond what I consider to be the most highest of priorities. Their priorities are different than mine. My priorities are mostly economic. I want people to be whole. I don't think people should be in poverty. I think that's an obscene condition for people to be in. I don't know. All right, let's go to the next one. So, yeah, Engel. Oh, Engel took a bad one. That is fucking hilarious. All right, so I had this whole segment in mind. In fact, I may end this and just do a video of cops attacking the press. Well, the media, who believes they should have a degree of, invincibility or the very least protection, not, we are the ones who are just observing. We're the witness. We're the watchers. The police are like, yeah, fuck that. We don't want watchers. And the police are going haywire attacking the press. In this situation, you have various states. So Minneapolis has said, no more chokehold. We're not using the chokehold anymore. Great. And I tried to make the point in my video that, yeah, that's great. But you realize Eric Garner was choked to death with an illegal chokehold. Meaning, in the same way that you've just outlawed that chokehold, in New York, Eric Garner was choked with an illegal chokehold. Your law is not real. That chokehold is absolutely real. Meaning, how do you stop that cop from using it, even if you proclaim it to be illegal? The making it illegal is nice, but the cop didn't suffer any consequences, not in real terms, but the fact you use an illegal chokehold to kill a guy. I hope you understand my point. Making it illegal is not the same thing as ensuring that the shit doesn't happen. In Portland, apparently, tear gas was supposed to be illegal. Apparently, somebody didn't tell the cops.
Up there. Keep going.
Somebody didn't tell the cops. Somebody didn't tell the cops. Chaos, man. I understand people get freaked out by chaos. But the thing is, there is no change without some level of chaos when you transition from one thing to the next, right? It just kind of goes along with the territory. All right. I'm going to end this video and restart another one. Not sure if you covered it. Minneapolis City Council voted to disband the police department today. No fucking way. No fucking way. Did they? I have to pick that up. That is awesome. Wow. The mayor, man. I think they did the mayor wrong. I really think they did the mayor wrong. Look. Don't be a dick to people if they are new to engaging in this way. And don't be a dick to people if they're new to protests, if they're new to thinking in terms of, or feel like they want to be a part of something, but not necessarily getting all of it. People are going to enter that stuff in the way they enter that stuff. And, it's virtue signaling in some weird way, but let people be. Like, you're going to have all sorts of people at that protest. Or, for that matter, you may have people on Twitter who post stuff, or Facebook who post stuff. A lot of these people, sometimes they get curious and interested, and they ask questions. I remember, I guess my point is, you got to meet people where they are with this stuff. I don't know. I'm going to end it here. And let's do a specific video. Like,